Let me start off by saying that I'm a pretty big fan of the Tony Hawk series. I've played through every game in the series and some of them multiple times on multiple consoles. I'm also a fairly big fan of skateboarding, even though I'm pretty terrible at actually skating, but I do love the sport, its history, and whatnot. Because of my love for the purer aspects of skating, I wasn't the biggest fan of the direction that Neversoft took with the two Tony Hawk's Underground games, but they seemed to focus more on pure chaos and destruction than skating itself. But I'm happy to report that Neversoft has gone back to its roots, and skateboarding's roots as well, and moved the focus of the series back to pure skateboarding with Tony Hawk's American Wasteland. The game's storyline begins with your character traveling to LA in order to get away from the man, and dive straight into one of skateboarding's meccas. From there, you'll meet a group of local skaters whose leader is a legend from skateboarding's past and who ran with the likes of Tony Alva back in the day. The game's storyline revolves around helping this group build up their stomping ground, otherwise known as the skate ranch. When you first get to the skate ranch, it very much resembles a rundown skate park built on a landfill. But much of the game's goals revolve around collecting pieces to add to this park, which you'll essentially steal from the game's various stages. You pick up giant gas signs, pieces of pavement, segments of machinery to destroy, and so forth, in order to build Skate Ranch into something of a Frankenstein-esque skate park. It's pretty cool to watch the ranch progress through the course of the game, since it constantly evolves over time, and you're able to directly interact with your progression through the game. 95% of the game's goals are skate-oriented. That means that you won't be doing a whole lot of on-foot or riding go-karts or whatever else. There are a few things you need to do on foot, like spray painting goals, but they don't take very long, and luckily the game's on-foot stuff is a good bit better than it has been previously. Mostly this is due to the camera, which is much more natural and makes it control much more like a regular third-person action-adventure game. There are also a few goals that you'll need to take care of with the newly added BMX bikes. Bikes are scattered throughout the game, and all you need to do to ride one is skate up to one and hop on. There's no separation between skating and biking, so to speak, so you can transition between the two at any time in the game. The BMX stuff controls differently than the skating in that you still have a set of moves on the face buttons, but a lot of your moves are done via the two analog sticks. The right stick essentially controls the movement of the separate pieces of your bike depending on the context. So if you're riding on a manual, the right stick will spin your handlebars, but if you launch off a ramp, you'll spin the body of your bike. The system works pretty well and feels more like you're actually riding a bike than just pressing buttons to have your on-screen persona pull off some randomly complicated move. Aside from the small amount of on-foot and BMX goals, everything else in the game is done on your skateboard, like you said before. You don't have to go driving go-karts or any of that stuff. So this is a very skateboarding game, which we're really happy about. One of the biggest additions to the series this time around is that it now streams all of the level data, so you'll never actually see a load screen once you're in the game. American Wasteland had been said to have gotten rid of actual levels and moved to a singular giant city to skate in, but this isn't exactly true. The game is made up of multiple areas in and around LA, like Hollywood, Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, and so forth, all of which are connected via loading tunnels. What happens is that if you want to travel from Beverly Hills to Skate Ranch, for example, you'll skate through one of these tunnels as the game loads in the next level. The tunnels are filled with rails and such to hit, and you never actually stop skating. And while it's true that the entire game is connected and that you can pull off a single combo from one side of the game to the other, it really is broken down into multiple environments that are very similar in size to classic Tony Hawk levels. Regardless, the level design is great. One of my problems with many of the later games in the series is that it seemed like Neversoft was setting up more and more automatic lines, where once you were on a rail, you'd automatically transition to the next, basically telegraphing exactly how you should take each line. They seem to have stepped back just a tad this time around, and even though there are still a whole ton of rails and such to hit, they're not quite as connected as they've been in the past. So you're allowed to be a little more inventive with your lines, which I like a whole hell of a lot. In all, Tony Hawk's American Wasteland is fundamentally much like many of the past Tony Hawk games, but its return to this series' focus on pure skateboarding is a welcome one. Fans of the series will certainly dig it, and even those who may have grown tired of the series should check out American Wasteland, because it's the best game in the series since the last Pro Skater game.